Hello and welcome to In Song and Story, episode number 25. Here we are, September the 9th, 2020. And this is the second last episode in season 1 of In Song and Story. So next week is the last episode. Then we'll take a little break to regroup, so to speak. So give you guys a break, give us all a break. Tonight's 3 songs are more or less traveling songs. And in the first song we head off to Canada. So the song was actually written in New York by a Canadian, Ian Tyson. He wrote the song in 1961 and it was released in 1963 on an album by Ian and Sylvia. And it became very, very popular. And since then it's been recorded by many, many, many people. Johnny Cash did a version of it. There's a great version that was from a TV show with Glenn Campbell and Judy Collins. But probably the most famous version was the one recorded by a Canadian singer-songwriter, Neil Young. And I think he still plays this. So it's on his set list in all his performances. The song is called Four Strong Winds. Think I'll go out to Alberta. Weather's good there in the fall. Got some friends I can go to working for. Still I wish you'd change your mind if I ask you one more time. 'Cause we've been through this 100 times or more. 4 strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run dry, all those things that don't change, come what may. For the good times have all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I look for you if I'm ever back this way. If I get there before the snow flies and if things are looking good, you could meet me if I send you down the fair. But by then it would be winter, not too much for you to do, and the wind sure can blow cold way out there. 4 strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. If the good times have all gone, then I'm bound for moving on. I look for you if I'm ever back this way. 4 strong winds that blow lonely, 7 seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. If the good times have all gone, then I'm bound for moving on. I look for you if I'm ever back this way. Still I wish you'd change your mind if I ask you one more time. But we've been through this 100 times or more. Ian Tyson's 4 Strong Winds, great song. And that version was probably close to Neil Young's version. I remember singing that song. I think we sang that at a folk mass in the Augustinian Church in Shop Street in Drogheda before I ever came to America. So. Anyway, here's a song I wrote sometime maybe in the late 80s and or early 90s, I'm not sure. Late 80s. And, when I think over the years, myself and people like me, we put thousands and thousands and thousands of miles on our cars, from everywhere from St. Louis, Missouri to Albany, Buffalo, New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, out to Houston, Texas, down to Key West, St. Pete Beach in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Savannah, Charleston, my gosh, Raleigh, North Carolina. When I think of all the miles, and I often laughed when I stop in a service station at 4 o'clock or half 4 in the morning, driving home, and you stop in to fill up and look around you and say, we've got as much in common with truckers than we have with musicians, because we're always on the road. But anyway, this song is called Midnight Song. I think it was recorded in probably my first studio album. Lying in your bed, so warm and tender, this song's for you till I get home. Driving through the lonely night, can't wait to hold you tight and be by your side where I belong. Headlights and the road, they look like candles, disappearing deep into the night. Passing through the nameless towns, late night ladies standing round, waiting for the light to take them home. Here's a midnight song, midnight song, a midnight song for you. Dawn is breaking slowly down the highway. Won't be long till I'll be there with you. All the lonely miles behind, can't wait to see you smile and hold your body close to mine. Here's a midnight song, a midnight song, a midnight song for you. Midnight song, midnight song, a midnight song for you. One of the old songs, a midnight song. As is customary, at this juncture in time, sláinte, cheers. Now, for the Irish folks out there and the folks back home in Drogheda in Ireland, you know that the Irish word for fun is crack, C-R-A-I-C. For my American friends, nothing to do with illegal substances. And this is the last of the travelling songs. This song has been stuck in my head for in around a year and a half now, and it wafts in and out and in and out, and I hadn't thought about it for a few weeks, and then one day last week I was on Facebook and I saw a friend of mine, great musician who lives up in Washington DC area, Brian Gaffney from the County Kerry, the southwest of Ireland. He was singing this song, and it's just a great song. It was written in the 80s by Christy Moore. Christy Moore is a phenomenal Irish singer-songwriter. He just has such a knack with lyrics and with his execution of the songs. And there's nobody at all like him. And nobody can sing a song like him. So if you're familiar with Christy, this is not going to sound at all like that. But a clever songwriter. And anyway, we spend a lot of time down on our tours. We take the tours to Ireland. We spend a lot of time down in Cork and Kerry, a beautiful part of the world in the southwest of Ireland. And this is a song about the exploits of Brendan, Saint Brendan. Brendan was born in 484 AD, close enough to the town of Tralee in County Kerry, where my grandfather's from there. And he died in Galway about 94 years later. And in the interim, he became a very pious and holy man, spreading Christianity all around Ireland and indeed England and Scotland. He became a traveller, and he's known to all and sundry as Brendan the Navigator. And in the 9th century, there was a text written about him in Latin, the Navigatio of the Abbot Brendan. And he's reported to have taken this journey. One of his journeys was a long journey that may have lasted 7 years. We're not quite sure of that. And all of his exploits were written down in Latin, and they've been transcribed, and we have them now in English. But he may have gone to the Canary Islands, down to the Azores or the Azores, or he may have gone up by the Faroes and off over to Iceland. And there is speculation that St. Brendan may have made it here to North America. Now, people think that's exaggerated and laugh at that, but people also in the 40s, 50s and earlier laughed at the fact that somebody suggested that the Vikings made it to North America. And in 1960, when there was a Viking settlement discovered in Newfoundland, that whole thing was turned on its head. Now, when the Vikings got to Newfoundland, the lands south of them they called the New Ireland, or another Ireland. So there's some speculation that St. Brendan made it over here. This is a long time before Columbus, and Columbus would have looked at this Latin text because it had to do it talked about winds and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that's enough of that. We assume that Brendan did make it over here, but we're Irish. We just assume that kind of stuff, and it's good to go St. Brendan the Navigator. But we believe in that kind of stuff as an Irish government official was asked one time, he was by a foreign official, you people don't really, you don't really believe in leprechauns. You don't believe that, do you? And the Irish official said, of course not, absolutely not. Are you out of your mind? Of course we don't believe that, but we know they're there. So we'll take the story, we'll take the legend rather than the story. Christy Moore's The Voyage of Brendan, and this is very wordy, so I hope I get it right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be here again, same time, same place next week. I hope you're staying safe and sound and healthy out there. It's slowly starting to return to normal. Unfortunately, not my end of things, not the entertainment end of the whole thing. But so we'll be here for the last installment of In Song and Story Season 1 next week. How's this go? The boat sailed out of Brandon in the year of 501. 'Twas a damp and dirty morning, Brendan's voyage had begun. Tired of tin and turnips and cutting curly kale, when he got back from the creamery, he hoisted up his sail. He ploughed a lonely furrow to the north, to the east and west. Of all the navigators, St. Brendan was the best. When he ran low on candle, he was forced to make a stop. He tied up in Long Island, put America on the map. Did you know that Honolulu was found by a Kerry man who went off to find Australia, then China and Japan? When he was touching 70, he began to miss the crack, and turning to his albatrosses, I'm heading back. Is it right or left for Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Maidenhead? I'd love to settle down near Vintry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross, he said. To make it fast, he bent the mast and built up mighty steam around Teveradale, Foego, and up the warm Gulf Stream. Around the last horizon, when Brandon was in sight, and when he cleared the customs into Dingle for the night. When he got to the Coram Blue, he went to douse the drought. Then he headed west for Cruagers to Murder Point of Stout. Around by Ballyferreter and up the Connor Pass, he freewheeled in the Brandon boys and Saint was home at last. Is it right or left for Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Mitzenhead? Sure, I'd love to settle down near Vintry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross, he said. The entire population came. The place was chock-a-block. Oh, love no money wouldn't get your nose inside the shop. The fishermen hauled up their nets, the farmers left the hay. If I carry people know, saints don't turn up every day. Everything was going grand till Brendan did announce his reason for returning was to try and set up house. The girls were flabbergasted at St. Brendan's neck to seek a wife so late in life and him a total wreck. Is it right or left for Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Mitzenhead? Sure, I'd love to settle down near Vintry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross, he said. Now worn down by rejection that pierces humble pride, begod, says Brendan, if I run, I'll surely catch the tide. Turning in his sandals, he made straight for the docks, and hauling up his anchor, he cast off from the rocks. As he sailed past Inishvicaleen, there stood the albatross. I knew you'd never stick it out, it's great to see you, boss. I'm bailing out, says Brendan, I badly need the break. A fortnight is about as much as any your saint could take. Is it right or left for Gibraltar? What tack do I take from Mitzenhead? Sure, I'd love to settle down near Vintry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross, he said. Is it right or left for Gibraltar? Now what tack do I take from Mitzenhead? I'd love to settle down near Vintry Harbour. St. Brendan to his albatross, he said. Oh yeah. St. Brendan's Voyage. Thank you very much for joining me the last few minutes. Good night and God bless. Take care of yourself.